afternoon. My name is Catherine Enberg, and I've done my presentation on Agenda 21 and its ethical implications and implementations. So what is Agenda 21? Agenda 21 is a declaration that was accepted by the heads of states in the Earth Summit held in Rio de Janeiro in 1992 in Brazil. There's two main principles. First is to combat environmental damage, poverty, and disease through global cooperation and common interests, mutual needs, and shared responsibilities. And the second is to implement this agenda at a local level by having local governments enforce their own local Agenda 21. Local Agenda 21 is the process that aims to improve local people and communities in the design of a way of life that can be sustained and thus protect the quality of life for future generations. It aims to integrate social, environmental, and economic aspects of development in order that all future development is sustainable. It requires all of us to consider the effects on the local economy, the local environment, and the local community of every policy and project, and then seek a solution that achieves a realistic balance between all of them. Local Agenda 21 is a highly democratic, consensus-building, and empowering process. It seeks to strengthen the role of all major groups in society, including women, children, youth, and women. It sets out to develop and build on partnerships between groups in the local community and to make linkages between parallel processes such as social needs and health for all policy work. Local Agenda 21 is essentially about quality of life. It's a process that asks for those of us in local government to work in partnership with the local community, to develop a strategy comprising a series of action plans which will set on how we work together towards the goal of sustainable development in the 21st century and beyond. Agenda 21 proposes an array of actions which are intended to be implemented by every person on Earth. It calls for specific changes in the activities of all people. This relates to our lessons in ethics by trying to implement land ethic. So, Aldo Leopold came up with the original idea of a land ethic. And he said, what is it? There's no ethic in dealing with man's relation to the land, which isn't entirely true if looked upon through Teak values. So what is the land ethic? So a thing is right if it tends to preserve the beauty, stability, or integrity of a piece of land. It's wrong if it tends otherwise. Then how do we determine what this is when we have the 3 E's of decision making to kind of try and balance? How do we come up with a proper climate action plan and get local communities involved with being on board with these programs? So, according to this environmental ethic, there's a right way to look at these decisions, and there's a wrong way. The right way is very egocentric, short-term thinking. The right way takes everyone into consideration and makes long-term goals. So there's the 3 E's, or the 3 spheres of sustainability, which include environmental and economic strategy, social and environmental strategy, and economic and social strategy. All of these things taken together has to be found in balance and has a lot to do with people's right to self-determination. So the problems with implementing Agenda 21 principles in this area have been historic. It's been called the most dangerous threat to American sovereignty, and it says that we are trying to get rid of all golf courses and grazing pastures and ski centers and air conditioners. That's kind of ridiculous and not anything I've ever heard. As recently as 2012, the Republican National Committee's platform included the line, "We strongly reject the UN 21 as an erosive agent of American sovereignty." In New York State, there's home rule jurisdiction dating back to 1923. Local governments are supposed to provide authority for the cherished prerogative of communities to control their own destinies. The stark conflict of local self-determination and the arbitrary imposition of plans outlined in Agenda 21 are self-evident. So in terms of implementing Agenda 21 programs in the local area, the decisions that we make really have to be looked at with a deontological class of ethics. It means that we're following our obligations to another individual or society. We're following our obligations to make choices that are in the best interest of everyone involved without violating too many people's rights. Attempting to implement programs that are seen as counter to American patriotism and liberty in an urban environment that is seen as the birthplace of Uncle Sam and is politically libertarian in nature takes ingenuity, determination, and a whole lot of out-of-the-box thinking. So there are 3 different approaches that are usually undertaken in trying to implement Agenda 21. The first is called a priority problem approach. And then there's also a sectoral or municipal service approach, or there's a stakeholder or thematic approach. I tend to focus on the stakeholder approach as I believe in upholding the values of the people in the town that think that they should have a say in these decisions. Separating stakeholders may create an us against them mentality that could lead to divisiveness. This has often been a problem in the capital region, as there's a rather large division that occurs between local government officials and those that they govern. An understanding of sociology and psychology is absolutely necessary when attempting to get members of society or of subcultures in the area to come on board with accepting and implementing local Agenda 21 protocols. Common issues arise in opposition to implementation stems from misinformation and propaganda that's spread about environmental policies being a perceived threat to American freedoms and liberties. So hardcore is a music scene that is located based out of Troy, New York. They really have a very family community attitude. Their lyrics cover a range of topics. Most are very personal, but they don't have a prevalent activist edge, or they haven't historically since the 80s. As a genre, hardcore focuses on community. Most fans don't sit at home. They go out and they attend shows and they meet other fans. This is actually an excellent opportunity to get a whole bunch of stakeholder information as people from all different walks of life enjoy this kind of music and congregate at these shows. The hardcore scene originated mostly from people that came from their feelings of being at the bottom of the barrel, and they were feeling oppressed by their parents and authority figures making decisions for them. So figuring out how to get this class of people to go ahead and accept government programs when they have a big aversion to authority to begin with really takes a lot of work. A main problem in the implementation of Agenda 21 policies really involves lifestyle choices that are linked to patterns of consumption, and they've been slow to adopt new patterns or lifestyles that are more sustainable. Environmental stability has historically been grouped in this town in with the idea of a hippie subculture, which actually worked out really well in terms of developing a partnership with people in the hardcore music scene. There's a mutual respect between the two subcultures based on perceived harassment by the local government policies and attitudes. And it's a real opportunity to be able to disseminate knowledge on what sustainability is and is not, and to build a trust among the community that sustainability efforts are not there to try and take away their rights, and to make them have an understanding that their vote counts in a bottom-up kind of a process. Having ties to a local community and close friendships within the area began long before I went to school to study sustainability and science. really helps in fostering that trust, and utilizing connections and examining different spiritual ecology paths help to cement and understand which members of the community would be on board with implementing sustainable practices. A great portion of the community here also has a nice respect and understanding of Native cultures, and there goes a long way into having acceptance for implementation of sustainability initiatives among the general public. So public engagement, community-based management, collaborative stakeholder management, public participation, and collaborative governance are really new concepts in a town that has historically been run from a top-down authoritative approach. So utilization of governance from the ground up approach seems to work best in this area to engage members of the public who already have a vested interest in sustainability and natural resource conservation. And a lot of environmental education, public outreach was done among these groups to have them come to the understanding that we are not trying to take away their liberty values or to change that in implementation of some of the green projects going on in town. And by giving voice to the members of this community, we were able to bring to the attention of local lawmakers the importance that we all feel that they focus on these plans of action to help stem climate change. Thank you.